All right, guys, shooting the Q&A here. Going to give it a few seconds. Still having issues with my phone shooting video with audio recording at the very beginning. It's been cutting out, so we'll give it just a few seconds there to make sure everything is on the up and up. I've got my computer in front of me. It is 2:42 in the a.m. Just finally got everyone to bed. My first chance to sit down and do any kind of work. That's how my weekend's gonna roll, I'm guessing. Man, I'm really sorry I did not get to everybody's questions last week. I saved all the questions. I was really bad sick last week. Bad sick. Missing training sessions sick last week. So just severe nausea, cramping, everything going every direction. No real reason. I sat everywhere that I went. I mean, this is normal for me. I've got little buckets and boxes, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, hidden around bookshelves, around couches, because once I get sick, I can't move. So I've got little safes planted with medicines and syringes, and I've still got bruises in different spots where it was just put something, 3 or 4 things in each shoulder. I know you guys always see my shoulders. You guys always, if you look on videos, I've had people comment on videos, I've always got knots and stuff in my shoulders. I take several injections a day for nausea, vomiting, cramping, things like that. And when it gets bad, you just have to load them in there. So I did, oh my goodness, over 24 hours, probably a good solid 6 injections into each delt, triceps, hips, glutes, and then you just start working your way down, the side of the IT band to do, whatever you can do just to feel better. And then just all of a sudden I felt better. Took a couple of COVID tests and I was negative. I don't know what was going on, but I don't know if my hands will show up. They're not showing up. They're a little red. You can see it a little. They're not bad, but all my joints are pretty swollen. My face isn't bloated or swollen, at least not as bad as it can be. So I couldn't figure it out, but it put me. I was going to ask questions on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday of last week, make the video, and guys, I was flat. I could not get anything done. And then Saturday, I'm pretty sure Kentucky played Saturday, so I would have stayed up late for that. And I felt really bad on Saturday. Sunday, I felt really rough. Went and trained. I managed to get one event done, and if you haven't seen the videos yet, we've got a new buffalo bar at the gym. A training partner bought a buffalo bar for the gym, so we used that, and I didn't do much, but I was absolutely fried. Monday night, I went out for stones, and you guys have been there. I know you have. Just mentally worn down. And I loaded a PR on Atlas stones, and just casual, there it goes. So there was nothing left. I'm strong, but just mentally, I'm gone. My legs are exhausted, both from training as well as being sick. It just wiped me out. And so that's Monday. Tuesday, I don't remember these days. Wednesday, I went to the gym, and I almost stayed home. I stayed up Tuesday night. Kentucky played, and the game did not start. Supposed to be at 4, didn't start till like 4:15 or 4:20. I took a nap before earlier in the day. I slept decent the night before, and then Kentucky lost to Tennessee by 13. What else do you say except Tennessee was awesome? Kentucky didn't play that great at all, and I think they didn't play that great because of Tennessee. I'm not one of those fans. You guys know that I'm diehard. Nobody stays up to watch the beginning of the Kentucky game at 4:20 in the morning. And at 6:32, I think I crawled in the bed. And it was just enough time to get everybody else up at that point. But you guys know I'm a fan. Tennessee played great. Absolutely great. So Wednesday, and then you sleep a few hours. Then Wednesday, I go to the gym, And I get there and I'm just like, I'm, mentally not there. I'm tired, painful everywhere. And I took a nap on the floor. There's a heater. I took one of my Cerberus sandbags and I just laid down and went out. Just laid down. It was at 30 minutes, took a nap, and then I woke up and I had enough energy. And I had planned on my supersetting back and forth with squats and deadlifts, and then, maybe some box squats with that new bar, and then some front squats, and then some hamstring tantrums, and, getting a lot of stuff done. I got my 5 sets of each done and grabbed my stuff and was gone. And it still took forever. And then I came home. I was home at 8. And I was outside, and when I parked in my car, Tom Petty blasting on the radio, and I was singing and dancing. And then I got inside and I unloaded my cooler, and I put away a couple of my things, and I took all my gym clothes off, and I hand washed all my neoprene and stuff like that after every training session. And then I saw the couch across the room, and I was like, oh, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going, to the couch. So that's where I went, over to the couch. And I tried to sleep, and my son was not going to have it. So he was hitting me with stuff, throwing stuff at me, and then my wife was trying to sleep in the chair. It's just, and then I went to the gym today, did bench press with the Buffalo bar, loved it. Probably felt great, better on my pec than a regular bar. Really strange. I did all my triceps. I did all my incline work, PRs on everything. I did all my bicep work, 18 sets of bicep, literally PRs on everything. And then I did all my log press work, and it just went great. PRs on the log. But, I just mentally, I don't have it right now. And my legs are just, you guys know when everything is coming out of every end, you're not holding food down, your legs just feel heavy and drained. So, I'm going to make this, while it's uploading, I'm going to try to smash my hamstrings and my quads, get everything moving around, and get it to feel a little bit better while the cat and dog fight. And do the same thing tomorrow. I know Kentucky plays tomorrow night. And then try to feel pretty good for Sunday. Because I think we're going to have a pretty good training session, a decent crew on Sunday. And I look absolutely crazy with this light. I've normally got another light that mounts up here. It has better color. It's not as bright, but it has better color. And I don't know, maybe I've left it at the gym. I don't really know what I did with it. So, but let's go. Let's start here. I pulled this up on Instagram. My buddy Tom sent me a message. Tom, please not Instagram. Not Instagram. I get hundreds of messages a day on Instagram, and it's impossible to follow Instagram and reply. And I have to do it mostly all from my phone. And I really, really dislike doing anything even remotely respectful or important from a telephone. I don't think anything respectful should be done from a telephone. It should all be done from a computer, something you sit down and think and actually type. That's my opinion. But I remembered it. I remembered you sending me the question, so I went back and found it. So Tom says, my request for the next Q&A, I have an 18-inch deadlift for reps coming in April. It will be about 7 actual training weeks, so we're looking at 6 to 5 right now. What kind of suggestions do I have? If it matters, the weight is 550, 250 kilograms, max rep in 60 seconds. I know I can lift it, not for sure about the time or the reps yet. Here's what I would do. You can lift it, but you don't know how many reps you're going to get. I would start basing this off of, if you feel that your 1 rep max is 550, and let's just say it is, because we're both, I know Tom, I know he's a master's. He's vintage like me, which means like old but cool. And what I would do if I was working in this situation is I would base off 550 for 1, and we're going to work on some reps. Because training, even if you could do 600 or 625, We're going to base it off 550 because we're going to build some muscle, we're going to build some safety, and then because you're a vintage lifter, you need to be pulling back not the week before, not 7 days before, but 14 days out. You should feel fresh. If you plan on coming in fresh on contest day and you're a master's lifter, then 14 days out, you should already feel fresh and be filling back out because your joints are going to get sore just because you're a vintage lifter anyway. And then you want to give yourself time to kind of rebound and feel good and be positive for contest day. So what I would look at is you can base a lot of things off of numbers. There are a lot of numbers that always work, like anywhere between 70 and 75% for 3 to 5 sets of 5. I see you chewing on that. I can see you. Then it gets quiet. He's going to hide so I can't see him. You can have a week of 80% for 5 sets of 2. That's progressive. That's an overhead press percentage. You could do 90% for 3 sets of 1. That way you've got 500 pounds in there, which, let's say if you're going to take a warm up and 500 pounds was your last warm up, you could do 3 sets of 1 with 500. It's a technical single. The risk of injury is much lower with singles. I think you could do any one of those and be perfectly fine. So if you're doing the lift to build the lift a little bit of confidence in there. You're working, how should you pace it? Well, you should know that you should never hit failure on an event like this, that if you hit failure, you're not going to get another one. So you need to, if you're looking at if the first one just flies up and then you're like, oh man, I've got 4 or 5 of this, then get a second one. And then maybe a third one. But I would probably do a second one, and then I would back up for a second. 10 seconds of air, strap back in, get one more, maybe the fourth one then, and then back up. And then, with 12 to 13 seconds to go, you got to strap back in and go for it for the 5th. But you can never hit failure. And I suggest never getting anywhere near failure on this in training as well. That's a great way to destroy everything, because the 18-inch deadlift is also extremely low back heavy. And if you strain or even just stress your low back right now, that stress is going to carry you all the way through the contest. It's going to mess up your prep, and you're not going to be ready for the contest day. So those are just a few numbers that I would do. I mean, that's what I would do. That's what I would pick those, and it wouldn't even have to be in that order. Somewhere between 70 and 75%, 4 sets of 4, 4 sets of 3, 3 sets of 4, somewhere around there. That's a good week of training if you want to practice technique, but everything has to be perfect. And when you finish, you have to do something that's corrective, some kind of abs, some straight-legged, raises, some twist. I can send you some videos of a couple of things, exercises that would help build your midsection as well. Spread eagle setups. You've got to do something, that's going to get that full range of motion abs, and then you've got to spend some time relaxing your spine from neck all the way down to your knees. And then you can do 80% for 5 sets of 2. So it's still technical, it's still skill, it allows you to build it, and then you finish it up with something finish it up with some hamstrings, some rows, or another event, because that's just one event, man, just one event. And then 90% for 3 singles is also a solid week as well. And then just start deloading. You could walk out there and pull 450 for a double, your last week, and just warm up the week before the contest. That's it. Hope that helps. Let me see. So let me go over to YouTube here. Got my cranberry juice as well. Got my coconut water. Clarksville Barbell Club. Comments that my hair does look amazing. Did I make my own stones or did I buy them? You've seen a couple of videos on YouTube about how to make your own Atlas stones. I bought them, but the stones that I have now are 21 years old. That was one of the first things, my first Christmas in being involved in Strongman. I think I got, I made farmer's walk implements out of easy curl bars. I picked up several tires free, kegs free, things like that didn't cost anything. Bought a log. It's the 8-inch log that I have in my gym now. It's 8 inches, 140 pounds. It was made around Bowling Green, Kentucky. Got a yoke made by the same guy. And then I found a guy that made Atlas stones. And I want to say I bought 10 Atlas stones, maybe for $450, something like that. So we're also talking 2001. I believe that would be the year. And I think I drove 6 hours each way to pick them up. So there was a guy that made them. And if you see my stones, I mean, they're made with rock and they're all different size. Steve Slater was making perfect stones at that time, because Steve Slater had been to my house a couple of times. And he would show up with a couple of just absolute perfect stones. Anybody want to buy them, that sort of thing. But I don't think we realized that he had any kind of stone mold that could be used. That really wasn't a thing. So mine were mostly made from Swiss balls and other balls like that. They are not perfect, but for me, they work absolutely wonderful. A little over a year ago, there's a local guy that has trained with us quite a bit that was beginning to make Atlas stones. And let's just say we're no longer friends because of the Atlas stones and a lot of bent out of shape situations. Either way, doesn't matter our personal beef. These were his first times making Atlas stones. So you look at my 330, there's a 375, a 440, and one that was supposed to be like, 460, and it's 548, I think is what we weighted as. He tried really, really hard. He came really, really close. They're almost magical, but 2 of the 4 stones that we got, tacky will not stick to them. Whatever coating he put on them, whatever materials that he used, you cannot get anything to stick to it. So I've got the Cerberus level 1, 2, 3, and 4 tacky. I've used some old Spider tacky. I've used some old Reband tacky. That's back in the day. Jack's tacky. I found some Elite. I used a heater the other night to try, and it doesn't stick. Whatever is on them, whatever material he put on the outside, it does not stick. So it makes the stone basically useless. You can't pick it up. Might as well cover it with a WD-40. But I think it's cool. And my training partner Leah tried to make a couple of small stones. Did not turn out well at all. Did not turn out well at all. I would definitely go with buying a mold. Or if you lived here, I guarantee you the guy that made mine and made several mistakes, I guarantee you he's going to fix it. I know that he's going to fix it, and I know that he's going to be a great stone maker. So if I lived here, that's where I would go. I would get the stones from him. Michael says, what's the illness that I have that impacts my training? He says he has Crohn's disease. He feels incredibly blessed to be on the drug Remicade. He's been in remission for years and has been able to train normally aside from the occasional flare-up. So let's answer that first. I have ulcerative colitis, but that turns into a host of a huge series of other autoimmune diseases. It has attacked heart, liver, spleen, skin, eyes, lungs, joints. As far as what we're looking, I've got a lot of more tests to run. It's attacking my nerves, and it's probably what's causing me to lose my ability to walk. So I'm losing the feeling of my nerves from the knees down. And so far, at this point, I cannot wiggle my toes. Sometimes I can wiggle the whole toe up and down like that, but I cannot curl any one direction or the other with any toe on either foot. But there's just a whole host of things. It's not just ulcerative colitis. I've taken a lot of medication to help. I still take a cortisone. I've taken prednisone, methylprednisolone, dexamethasone, injection tablets of all of them. And they all seem to work. The benefit of the dexamethasone is it also increases appetite greatly, kills nausea. It does not have the same effect with bone loss. And I'm getting to the point to where at least I think I can manage the side effects a lot better with that than I can with the others. My thoughts on the current top strongman, favorite competition, favorite athlete. You're excited to see Evgeny Markov and Mateusz compete at the Arnolds. Thoughts on the current top strongman. I don't think there's anyone that I don't like. Man, do I have a favorite who's a pro? I think most people know that I have friends that are heavy favorites. I absolutely love Graham Hicks. He's been here. He's an amazing person. He is an amazing person. Terry Hollins has been here and trained with us several times. Again, another amazing person. I'm trying to think who else I can actually talk about and not get in trouble. I've had several clients, so I have to be careful what I say. Man, I love all of the Americans coming up. Of course, I know I've known Travis Ortmeyer. Travis was here competing and staying at my house in 2006. And we've known each other long before that. I turned pro before he did. I love all the current top strongmen. I do. Favorite competition? Official strongman games. I think it's not a full-time pro show, obviously, but I think it is by far the best show in the world for the athletes. That's the place where everybody wants to go. That's my goal in life. That's where I want to get back to. I don't care where I finish when I get there. I don't care if I don't even finish a single event. That's the goal I've been working towards for the last several years, is to qualify and get there. By far my favorite competition. My favorite athlete, Chad Coy, always has been. Even the first time he was one of my favorite athletes in 2001, 2002, my first year in the sport. I met him in Boston in 2002. I had just taken up the log we were using at the contest. Me getting a single was going to be a PR, and I did 4. So imagine how thrilled I was. Getting a single was going to be a PR, and I got 4 reps on contest day at by far the biggest and heaviest show of the year, probably in the world at that time. And afterwards, Chad came over to me to tell me I was wearing the wrong kind of shoes. And then he was just like, man, the next time you compete, if you don't have shoes, come over and I'll find you weightlifting shoes to press in. You got to take those chucks off and put the weightlifting shoes on. And I don't even remember if I said anything back to him, because I was starstruck because I knew him from the internet, but I had seen him compete in photos and in videos, and I had interacted with him online. He was a super athlete, and he was the kind of guy who was willing to go until he died. He goes and goes and goes, and he's more than happy just to die on the field. He's also a puker, everything that I am. He just had more experience than me. I think we've competed against each other once. I will say that I had a severely torn hamstring. He did beat me. I'm not for sure if I could have beat him on the day, even if my hamstring was healthy. Although I think he only beat me by a place. And with a hamstring healthy, I would have taken over a couple of the events. But we both went out at the same time to do farmers walk. They called us both out at the same time to go do farmers. And, this whole huge crowd is waiting on us. And you got the referee saying, athletes ready. And he just walks over to me and we're about to go head to head. Only two people in this huge arena about to go. And he says, hey, man, you want to say a prayer? I'm just like, yeah. I mean, how does he know that I pray before a big lift anyway? And normally it's under my breath. I'm sure I say it out loud a lot, but that's just my thing. So something that's important to me, and then this guy walks over, this guy that I don't want to beat so badly. I mean, I'm probably calling him bad names under my breath because I want to beat him so badly, but then I love him because I want to beat him. And then I want to beat him because I love him, because I respect him so much. And we just stopped right there, in the arena and just, next to each other and said a prayer, and made everybody wait. And then we went out there and did farmers and I beat him. I got to throw that out there. But he's always been my favorite strongman athlete, always has been. Markov, I think he's definitely gonna shock some people. He's still got to get some experience at that level. He's had a lot of experience at other levels, but nothing makes up for having the experience at the highest of level. And people prove that time and time again. If you want to do your best at the Arnold's or World's Strongest Man or Giants Live, you have to have experience at those contests. You think it's just a regular contest, but it's not. The way it's run, its layout, the people who know how the game's going to be played always have the advantage. So it's absolutely great to see him come in. I really wish that he would have been part of the sport 2 or 3 years ago. I wish they would have brought him in 2 or 3 years ago so he would already have that experience going into it. Explorer 213. Do I think the banded box squat is a functional equivalent of the half squat? Half squats appear to be better in the research for athletic performance. Thanks for the answers last week. The half squat. I don't care look, I own a research company. My wife does research. I study research daily. I read research all the time. We live in a current era of studies. And I love this, TV comes out with studies are showing, because we all know what the hot topic in the world is right now. Studies show, well, a study is not a research. A study is a bunch of people looking at their choice of data points and telling you what they think. There's no peer review, there's no ethics review, nothing. So working in the field of research, I am highly suspicious for anyone to say that a half squat is better for athletic performance than a full squat. Because you have to define, in that, you have to define so many variables for that statement to be true. One, what is a half squat? Half of what? Half of a full squat? Half of a parallel squat? Half of what they feel comfortable squatting? What? How many sets? How many reps? Dynamic? Slow motion? What bar? Narrow stance? Wide stance? Define the half squat. Better. Appear to be better. Better. Better is not a research term at all. So if you see someone on Instagram talking about a half squat being better, what do they mean by better? How much? In research, again, research. That's a really flimsical word to use because actual research is so freaking hard. Athletic performance. How are we defining athletic performance? Are we taking athletes who already perform in a certain sport and then we're going to make them do half squats and measure their progress? And then we're going to take those same athletes and make them do a full squat and then make them do a box squat with bands and chains and then measure their athletic performance? Athletic performance in what? Basketball, baseball, jumping, in the squat, in the deadlift, just in general daily life, in a sprint. So, I think all of that information just eats a huge hole, a multitude of holes in the statement. And I know it's not your statement. I know whose statement you're talking about. In the statement that half squats are better in research for athletic performance. It's a big line of crap. And you better get a big shovel and put on some big boots before you actually jump into anything that's written that way. Look, you know me, I love box squats with wide stance and a tons of bands and chains. I have not done a box squat, a wide stance squat. Yeah, I've not done a wide stance box squat or a box squat of any kind in months. 4 months at least. Because I don't need to right now to get better. I need to work on a natural stance, front squat, manta ray squat, weightlifting squat, buffalo bar squat. I've got to get back to working on building my deadlift. You know, there are a lot of other things that I need to work on because I am good at the banded wide stance box squat. So I need to stop me personally, I need to stop working on what I'm good at so I can get better at what I'm not at, both in the squat performance way and in, you know, loading Atlas stones, overhead press with a log, you know, super yoke, carrying, moving events, getting my body to function better. For the average athlete, if I had any other athlete, I would want them to learn 4 different squats. One of them would definitely be the box squat with bands or chains. Wide stance box squat with bands or chains, learning how to be extremely reactive and explosive off the box. With the box squat, that is what we're always looking for. How explosive can you come off the box with somewhere between 50 and 65% of your 1 rep max plus 10 to 15% of bands or chains. Not how much you can squat, not a max, not 5 sets of 5, not 3 sets of 3. We're working on a dynamic effort method, and we're always monitoring how explosively you can come off that box. That tells me pretty much what you can do on every other lift, and if you're beat up or not. I would also want you to have a rotation of a front squat. I think the manta ray squat is absolutely brilliant as well. It took me nearly 30 years to buy one, and now I love it. I think it's highly functional. I think the Hatfield squat is absolutely magical as well. The SS yoke bar, the buffalo bar is great. So I think you need to know how to do all of them. You need to figure out which one you stink at and get better at that. So if you stink at any of the squats, get better at that. I can tell you that any lift that is done in a half motion is more hard and stressful on the joints than a full range of motion lift. Even people look at like power snatch and power cleans. I don't mean like what you see on Instagram or the average gym bro that says, yeah, I'm going to do power cleans. I mean an actual weightlifter that does a power clean or a power snatch, which just means that you catch the bar with your hips slightly above parallel. It means you didn't catch it in a full snatch. You didn't catch it in a full clean. You also didn't catch it and then drop. That's catching it in a power position. Or you did anyway. But for a weightlifter to have to catch the bar with your hips above parallel and you stop, that means your hip sockets, your hip joints, your feet, your knees, your spine absorbed that force instead of letting your body go all the way down, and it spread that force out and allowing the majority of that force to be spread out through your abs and through your pelvis and through your hips. It took it as an impact instead of your body getting tight and having some kind of flow. I think there are a lot of things wrong with half squats, but we have someone on Instagram who's making a name for themselves. That's important. There's someone making a name for themselves by creating their own niche. My thoughts. All right, strength habits. I know this guy. Client. Why does yoke and farmers feel so much nicer with the sled drag? Core feels so much more engaged, and legs, glutes, hams, and calves are so much more activated. What's the philosophy of this, and how did I come up with it? P.S. Loosening the belt is a game-changing. Thanks, Coach. This is one of my clients that I'm having doing like what you're seeing me in training when I do the yoke, farmer's frame, car walk, and then I will wear the harness and put a sled behind me. So when I'm carrying it, I'm actually dragging something as well. With the yoke, and hopefully I'll be able to show you this on Sunday, with the yoke, the farmer's frame, if you pick up a heavy yoke, it's sitting on your neck, and that weight, that force, goes straight down your spine. So it's sitting on your spine, and it goes through your hips, knees, and feet. And every step that you make, the weight of that is also pounding on your joints. Now, the idea is that you should be fast enough that you can grab and lean forward and dig with your legs. And when you can do that, the weight is shifted ever so slightly behind all of those major joints. That is extremely difficult to do unless you're brutally strong. And the way contests are set up now, with the weights continually getting heavier, your joints continue to take the majority of the force of the weight because the weights are getting heavier. When we add the sled, and we normally add the sled at a weight that you have to really lean and dig with the legs to get it to move, even if it's just the sled. When you pick up the yoke or the frame or the farmers, the implement that you pick up will finally have its chance to kind of lean out in front of you. And when it leans kind of out in front of you, you get locked in. The weight can be a little more on your toes, and you have to use your quads, your hamstrings, and your calves to push forward. So you no longer have the weight of the implement that you're carrying bearing down on your spine, your hips, your knees, and your ankles. But you are able to carry that yoke with a little more musculature. The lats squeezing it in and controlling it and guiding it. Your abs get worked a lot more because they're having to stay much more tight. You can feel them having to work because of the change in body position. Because you're leaned forward to carry the sled behind you, your calves and your ankles are going to be driving into the ground. You're going to have to pick up your foot and smash it into the ground, which is with a bent knee, and it's going to be a little more quads. And then as you drive back, that's like the hamstring almost doing a stiff-legged deadlift almost on its way back, killing the hamstrings. So the way it shifts everything is makes it a much safer exercise, makes it more productive because we can actually build the muscles that make the yoke walk stronger. The typical training of yoke is heavy, moderate this week, a little bit heavier next week, a little bit heavier next week, a little bit heavier next week. Oh my gosh, that was so heavy. I'm going to take a bunch of painkillers and try it one more time. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to die. I better take a break. But I don't have a chance to deload. I've got to keep going and just try again. I'm going to get more angry this week and just use some more ice and then eat some more and then try to sleep better. And the next thing you know, you're really beat up going into the contest. Or you can find a way to actually train the event, build the muscles and the technique that make you better at the event, and show up on contest day refreshed. And that's what I do. The way I came up with this, I actually did this probably 15 years ago training by myself. You know my gym, all the plates have to be carried from inside the gym, downstairs, out to the implements. And then when I'm done and just dead tired, they all have to be carried up the stairs and back into the gym. It's not so bad if you've got a big training crew, but I've trained by myself for so long. Carrying all those plates, carrying 10 to 15 plates outside and then back inside in the hot Cypress sun is ridiculous. So I found that I could just put a sled behind me. I could put a couple of plates on either side of the yoke. I could put 3 or 4 plates on a sled. And actually what I was doing is, instead of using a harness and a spud ink strap to connect to the sled, I used bands. Bands crisscrossed around me and bands from me to the sled. So it was moving like crazy with every step and made it extremely hard. So I didn't have to carry much weight to get a heck of a training session. And then what I found is when I went back to doing regular yoke, I took off flying and my body was fresh and all the muscles had gotten stronger. And then you go 10 years ahead of time. And then it seemed like last year, the last 18 months, I had a lot of clients getting ready for major competitions with very heavy super yoke events in the competitions. And they were all at the point of, I don't know if I can do this. And then I think I had I had 2 women at Worlds that both went from, I don't think I can do this, to winning the event. And then I had a male win the super yoke in the 300-pound class at U.S. Nationals. And every client has had extreme results from training this way. And it's not just as simple as, hey, we're going to put a sled on there. There is a whole long process of how we do this to make sure that you show up strong on contest day. But everyone should play with it. Everyone should try. Let's see. SW Florida bass fishing. Hi, Clint. Been watching you for years. I don't train anymore and had a bad injury about 7 years ago, but want to start training again and just don't have the energy I did in my 30s with work and kids. How can a man in his 40s boost his testosterone levels natural without injectables? I took injectables for years and love them, but don't want to take them for health reasons. I can't control myself with injectables. They work so good. Haha. There's actually a couple of levels in your question, and I think this is something that, I don't know, I guess I should talk about somewhere else, but it ends up pissing people off. Your energy levels and your testosterone levels, one can but does not have to cause the other. There are lots of people with low testosterone levels with tons of energy. You having energy and excitement, I don't want to say has nothing to do with your testosterone levels, because obviously it does. But you know what I mean. You can't just say, I'm older and kids and blah, blah, blah. Oh, man, it's got to be my testosterone levels. I just don't have the energy I did when I was in my 20s. There's a lot of things you have now that you didn't have when you were a mortgage payment, wife, kids, stress, older cars that break down. Your job is more important. I've got a cat and a dog over there fighting over the yoga mat right now at 3:27 a.m. I've got to get up early in the morning and somehow and get my son, my 6-year-old son with autism, for a rapid test. He had a PCR test last week, but has to have a rapid test tomorrow before everything closes, and everything closes early here on Saturdays, so he can go to school on Monday. And that is if none of his teachers or students in his classroom get COVID again. So by then, there are a lot of reasons why you don't have the energy. Hate to say this because it sounds like I'm trying to sell something. I'll guarantee this to anybody, and my clients will back me up on this. If you hire me, your coaching will not be boring. You will be excited to go train. That is my job. My job is to get results. I ask everyone, what are your goals? Because I've got certain clients that their goal is to win World's Strongest. Their goal is to set a new world record on log press. I had a new client this year that wanted to pull 700 raw and wanted to log press 400. It's been like 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. He log pressed 400, like week 11 into his 12-week program. I wasn't expecting it to be there, but it was. And at week 14, 15, 16, he pulled 700 raw and then pulled 725 raw right after that. Same day. Those were his goals, and his goal is to be a high-level pro strongman. I have a lot of clients that just want to train and feel better and slowly get stronger with the goal of competing in a powerlifting contest sometime in the next few years, whatever those numbers are. I have a lot of clients that just want to train in their garage. That's it. They want to train, they want to have fun, they want to look good, they want to be stronger, whatever stronger is now compared to what they were. And I guarantee you that none of that can happen. Even the top guys, even the guys with the 400-pound log presses and the upper 900-pound deadlifts, the near 500-pound log presses, if their training is not fun, if I don't keep them excited to go out and do the training, they won't do it. That's a part of my job. So if this is an issue that you have, that you don't have the energy and the excitement to go get it done, as long as you tell me you're going to go to the gym, you're going to be committed, I don't know, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, every day you can do something. Tell me every single one of your limitations and let me find an answer. That's what I'm good at. Every client tells me the same thing. One, they have so many fewer injuries with me than they normally have with their other coaches that they've worked with. And I don't know why that is. I push people like crazy. They make progress and they have a whole lot of fun. So I don't. And if you need a reference, I'll give you a bunch of references. But as far as to get your hormone levels better, you obviously need to get it checked. To get them better, I'll be honest with you, there is no amazing, easy, surefire, that's an important, surefire way to get and keep your testosterone levels normal to normal, high, whatever, and stable. There's not. So, except injections. That's going to be it. But like I mentioned, I take several, I don't know how many I've had today. I've had 5 or 6 injections today. whatever it takes to be as healthy as I can possibly be. But don't hesitate to reach out to me. Do not hesitate to reach out to me. Squat, curl, deadlift. Says, number one, you use powerlifting movements to train strongman. But have I ever competed in powerlifting? He would love to see me in multiply meet someday. And number two, I'm fairly new to lifting. 3 years of working out. Half of that was spent doing isolation movements for 2 hours. I would like to get into knee wraps just for fun, using sleeves now. Should I get to a certain strength level before using them, or can I start now with my puny squat? Thanks for doing these. Been a fan for some time, and I'm thankful for the amount of information you keep providing. So let's start up here. I use powerlifting movements to train for strongman. Yes, that is true. I think when I first began doing strongman, I had a buddy of mine that helped me out with, we used to just be called the West Side Method back then. And we're going back to 98, 99, something like that. And that was based off what we knew about West Side at the time. So that would have been the same time the Elite FTS was initially created. So the level of information was very, very low. But I used, good mornings and box squats and speed deadlifts and some board presses and some speed benching. I picked up some used bands that I could train with, and did what I could. Let me see, when I moved to Europe and began competing here, I could finally see that, I could do amazingly well in a competition, but I was the light, extremely fast, extremely athletic guy at every competition. And I could beat people because I was very fast, always kamikaze, gave 100%, literally 100% every single event. Young, athletic, jump, I could flip, I could do all kinds of crazy stuff. But what held me back was that I didn't have that huge base strength. I did not have, at that time, a 700-pound deadlift was really freaking impressive. 800 pounds, there were only a couple of people in America that had pulled 800. I want to say the American deadlift record was like 811. I know that there were other federations where 900 had been pulled, 70s and 80s. But anyone that could pull 800. There was one American strongman that everyone was like, oh, Pat McGettigan, he pulled 800. Willie Wessel had pulled 799. So I knew that I had to get a big squat, a big press, and a big deadlift. And I needed to gain some weight. I needed to be thicker all the way over. So I began learning as much as I could with the powerlifting movements. And, that led me, I built, I box squatted 957. Straps down, no knee wraps. Yeah. I don't know how many times, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times over 800 I've pulled with Texas power bar, no deadlift bar. I just got a deadlift bar last year. I did a good morning with like 704, a free bar bend over good morning with a 704. And then I saw, as long as I didn't get beat up, my events definitely improved at that point. I was able to make it farther through a long contest on less adrenaline and more just total strength. And that definitely made a difference. Have I ever competed in powerlifting? I never have. There's no powerlifting here. They had just this year, they did get a federation off the ground. They held a nationals last year. If you know me, I'm not going anywhere where there's a lot of people. I'm even. This isn't just a COVID thing. I don't go. I don't go where there's lots of people. I always have alcohol spray. I've been too sick for too many years to expose myself to too many people. I mean, I spray myself all the time. So, however much you think all the time is, you're not thinking enough. But their federation is the raw, drug-free federation that doesn't test. I think that's a place where I should keep my opinion to myself. I'm not drug-free. I don't plan to be drug-free for health and many other reasons. I mean, dude, honestly, look at me. If I tell you I'm not drug-free, and go out and look at my numbers are not impressive. So it's not the drugs that's either giving me an advantage or holding me back. It's health issues that are holding me back. So for anyone who would think that I'm using anabolics for an advantage over who? For a 200-pound log press? You know, to load a 310 Atlas stone? I've got female clients that do that. I've got female clients that can out deadlift me. So, I'm not going to compete in a powerlifting competition that is supposed to be a drug-free competition. If I'm not drug-free, I think that's a horrible thing to do. But they've had one competition. They called it nationals. It's IPF related, and they didn't drug test anyone. So there are no national. As far as I'm concerned, there are no national records. You can't have one meet and no drug testing and have national records. I would love to compete just to put the gear on and learn. There is something about geared powerlifting and getting ready for competition because, you know, I have peaked for long periods of time in gear on the power lifts, and it's like having an extremely complex car and deciding you're going to race it. And you go out every single day and you adjust stuff and you look at it, you listen, you learn, you twist, you turn, you modify, you call somebody, and you try it again. You roll it down the track and then you say, man, it feels close. What's wrong? Or it feels horrible. What's wrong? Try twisting this, try turning that, try cinching this, pull this here, pull that. And that is absolutely wonderful. And it's magic to get it all right on that one lift that matters on contest day. It's absolutely, it's amazing to do that. It's such a complicated process. It's not just about getting bigger and stronger. There's so much of a process of learning that gear, just like trying to figure out a Formula One car, or even your whatever car you drive and you decide you want to race it. You want to really, really race it. Everything on your car, changing the oil and what kind of oil and, you know, how much can you modify your little car to make it the best it can be. There's so much that goes into that. That's absolutely magic. And I think that's really the wonderful part of geared powerlifting. You'd like to get in knee wraps just for fun? Should you wait or just get a knee wraps? Buy some knee wraps. Get some knee wraps. I'm going to be totally wrong on this. I'll tell you, I love my old TP 5000 knee wraps. They don't make them anymore. I have learned that pretty much any solid black knee wrap from Elite FTS is a heck of a wrap. I've got the metal ones, I've got the Elite FTS ones, and I've used them both, not realizing they were different. But I think anything that is solid black from Elite FTS ends up being a great knee wrap for me. I absolutely love it. There's the black ones with the white stripe crates. I squatted, during chemo, I squatted 320 kilograms, so like 704. In a brand new pair of briefs at Elite FTS, and someone wrapped me with those wraps. And I've got a pair, and I like them pretty well. I like them a lot. They're amazing. I just don't know exactly how to wrap them as well as whoever wrapped me that day did. Cerberus has really solid wraps. I like theirs with the grippy stuff on it, but I don't think they sell them in the States. They may not sell them anywhere anymore. Yeah, those, but I don't, if you're just getting used to wraps, leave your knee sleeves on and wrap over the top of your knee sleeve. And you can do that for a couple of weeks. You're not going to get a super tight wrap that way. You're not going to get the severe bruises that you're going to get with a good wrap. But it will allow you to get, you'll learn a little bit about how to put the wraps on, how to feel, how it changes your squat, how it moves your stance around, the wiggling in your knees. Do your knees come forward more or less? Do you sit back more or less? Do you need to do a lot more hip work to get more out of those knee wraps? When do you wrap your knees? Because you can't wrap them and then put the headphones in and then get something to drink and then hit record on your camera. You got to be ready when those things are on. You better get someone to help you up, and you better walk to the squat rack and get moving. There's a lot of things to learn, and then it's brilliant to be learning all that stuff. But definitely, yeah, there's no reason not to have a good pair of knee wraps and to use them. There's no reason not to run 1 or 2 squat cycles per year that are knee wraps. If you want to run, you can run a light squat cycle every year with naked knees. You can do the majority of your training with the knee sleeves that you like. You could do a short couple of 3 or 4 week blocks with knee sleeves and wraps on top of the knee sleeves. And then you could do 2 or 3 4-week training blocks just with serious hardcore knee wraps on. And you're going to have different numbers for each one of them. A different 1 rep max, a different 5 rep max, a different 3 rep max, a 2 rep max. And you're going to learn, hey, I can't do sets of, maybe your squat needs sets of 8. Like me, I know that sets of 6 to 8 build my squat. I just don't do it because I hate doing it. But if I want to build my squat, I need sets of 6 to 8 to build my 1 rep max. I need the skill work in the heavy range, but I need the reps in the 6 to 8 range for my squat to actually go up. And I learned that. I also learned that I'm not going to wrap my knees and get sets of 6 to 8. So I can do a training block with the knee wraps, and I've done 5x5 with knee wraps. It was bad. It hurt. But it's much easier to do sets of 3s with good knee wraps. And you're going to learn, hey, I can cycle all of this, up and down like that. And like this little area is going to work best with naked knees. This little area is going to work best when I put some sleeves on. And then why am I putting sleeves on? Am I putting sleeves on because my knees hurt? My knees hurt. Why? Why? You know what? Maybe if I could go into the sleeved program, the program that I've got where I'm wearing knee sleeves with less pain, and maybe I could have less pain if I would have wrapped my knees on the training block before that. Maybe if I would have wrapped my knees, I wouldn't have pain, and that would set me up for a better position when I went and competed in the raw with sleeves division. That's magical stuff to have and know. Even for the guys that compete with sleeves or naked knees, sometimes it's better to train with a loose wrap just to protect your knees so that when you get there on contest day, your knees don't hurt. Now you have to have honest expectations because you can't train the whole thing with knee sleeves on. I've got female clients that get 125 pounds out of knee wraps. So you can't train with knee wraps on and use that number and say, oh, that's what I'm going to get on contest day. You have to have some smarts and some brains to say, okay, this is what I'm using in the gym with wraps. Not going to get anywhere near that on contest day with naked knees. Not going to get anywhere near that on contest day with knee sleeves on. You got to be honest with yourself. But you also need to be honest with yourself and tell yourself that you're not getting any younger. And if you can save your knees during training, if I can finish today's training session and tomorrow my knees don't hurt, there's a much better chance I can get out there and do all of the active recovery work that I need to be doing tomorrow and the next day. And I can squat with less pain, more productively, bigger numbers, more progress next week and the week after and the week after. Stuff I've learned as I've gotten older and a little bit smarter. Squat, curl, deadlift, I hope that answers some questions, guys. I hope that answers some of your questions. That's an hour and 5 minutes. I had a couple of anonymous questions as well. I'm going to hold on to them because they didn't want their name used and they were about chemicals. So I'm going to put up another Ask Me Anything and I'll do my absolute best to get this out much, much quicker, guys. It's just been rough. I have been really, really sick. I've done everything I can. It's 3:48 a.m. and this is the last 2 weeks. This has been the only time of my day that I've been able to sit down with a camera and record anything. And I've just, when I've got this few minutes of quiet time, this is the sound I want to hear. I just want to hear that sound and lay in the floor totally quiet and then take my butt to bed. So that's what I'm going to do right now as I'm hitting upload on this. Hope you enjoy. Tomorrow I will put up another thing. This is Ask Me Anything and I'll do my absolute best. You guys keep asking questions. I'll do my absolute best to make another one of these with answers on Monday. Monday seems to be a night that after doing Atlas stones, I have about 2 hours of work, and then I've got a good chance at filming this again. If I don't get it on Monday, maybe I can on Tuesday. So have a great one, guys. Hope I got everything answered. We'll see you soon.